Good day everyone. Today guys, let's discuss about the pros and cons of living in a small rural place versus on a city area. If you guys have followed my journey coming here to the United States, I've stayed in like a rural place for almost like 3 years for my first contract as a staffing agency. Then recently, I just moved in to a city area here in Louisville, Kentucky. So I just wanted to share to you guys the experience that I'm having versus these two places in order for you to be able to decide better on which place you want to stay, either a rural place or a city area. So if you're interested, stay tuned and watch till the end. And there's Juan de la Cruz, your OFW nurse. But before we start, I just wanted to apologize for you guys. I haven't been posting for the last 2 weeks because I've been sick for the last 2 weeks. And I think you can still hear from my nose and I'm still coughing a lot. So anyway, let's start. For the pros for the city area. Number one is there are a lot more things to do. Yes, there are more shops, more recreational facilities, more stores, more restaurants. Definitely a lot more versus from the rural place. Like for example, for the food. Here in Louisville, I'm able to eat a lot of different shops. Like I'm able to get food from Thai food, Vietnamese food, even African food. I can get the food, Mediterranean food kind of dishes. So it's really kind of mixed culture. So I really don't have any problems with food here in Louisville. Unlike back in Floyd County, like a rural place, there's not really much restaurants there. There are few restaurants like Japanese restaurants and some Chinese restaurants, but they are not really that good, honestly. Then, like I said, more shops. Definitely more shops to shop around here in Louisville city area. There's a couple of malls here in Louisville. Jefferson Mall, St. Matthew Mall. I think there's one more mall. Though they're not as big as the mall that we have back in the Philippines or in other states, but they're quite better versus the rural area. In Floyd County, we only have like Walmart. So that's it. We didn't really have any mall close by. The closest mall that we have is like 1 hour 30 minutes, which is in West Virginia, in Huntington. So that's the closest mall that we have. A bigger kind of mall is in Lexington, which takes me like 2 hours and 30 minutes in order to get to that place. So it's really far. So the convenience of having the stores within like 20 minutes maximum is really a plus to think about. Especially for us Filipino who like to shop around, even though we don't have the money, but we just have to like shop and walk around. So then one more thing about the store, Asian stores. Yes, there's a lot of Asian stores here in Louisville. We even have the Filipino store here in Louisville, May Tindahan kay Boss Amos. So you guys should visit that. We even have other Vietnamese food, shops, Chinese restaurants, Mexican restaurants, or Mexican shops. So you have a lot of options. Versus if I was staying in rural Kentucky, the closest Asian store that we have is like an hour and a half away from my city or my place. So it was like really a bummer. And the price there was like more expensive because it's harder to get items on that side of Kentucky. So here it's cheaper, really, definitely cheaper. My wife and my sister-in-law are kind of like a customer of the year on a Vietnamese store here in Louisville. So they're almost there almost every day. Then another great thing about living in Louisville is there's like more diverse people. There's more diverse ethnicity. There's even one time when I went to Walmart, I wasn't feeling like I was in the United States. I was thinking I was like in Mexico or in Spain because everyone was like speaking Spanish. I was born and raised in Zamboanga City, so I kind of know a little bit of Spanish, so I kind of understand what they were saying. So everyone is speaking Spanish, and you can see the looks. They're not all white, unlike back here in like rural Kentucky. Most of the people here, you can see that they're really from a rural area because you can really be distinguished that you're the only Asians or few Asians, or if you're black or if you're brown. So it's kind of quite distinctive that you are around this place. But in the city area in Louisville, no, you can just blend in because there's a lot of diversity. So which is kind of nice in a way. Then another plus here in the city area, we have public transportation. Yes, we do have public transportation here. You have the buses, though they're not that great, and most of the immigrants here don't really use that. Most of the buses are being used for like maybe for students or those who are like really with a low income budget. So most of us, or if you're an immigrant coming to the United States, you might not really use this really. We have Uber or Lyft, so whenever you're drunk or like went to a bar, you don't really have to drive. You can just like book a taxi or book a Grab or Uber, then they will bring you to the destination. which is really nice. Because unlike if you're in from rural Kentucky, in order for you to get to a place, to a bar, into like a house, you are required to drive your vehicle going to that place, and you are required to drive it back home unless you're gonna do an overnighter. Like in a few events wherein like we had a party, we couldn't really drink a lot because we have to drive back home, and it's really not safe for you to drive if you're drunk. So definitely we're like controlling and just having like 1 or 2 beers, and that's it. At least here in Louisville, you have the option to be like drunk if you want to, and you have an option to just book an Uber or taxi going back to your place, which is really nice. Then another good thing here is we have an international airport here in Louisville, which is really nice. It's like a 5-10 minutes away from my house. So if ever we wanted to go somewhere, we can just book an Uber and have us drop off to the airport, which is really convenient. Versus like back when we were in rural Kentucky, it takes us like 3 hours to arrive in Louisville. So whenever we drive there, then we have to leave the car, then we have to pay for that car as well for the like time that we left in the parking area. So it is more expensive versus just getting an Uber. Though we don't really fly a lot, but having that thought that you can just fly whenever you need to, and it's like close proximity, it's really a good thing. Then last but not the least, for me, we have a bigger Filipino community here in Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, and we are growing in numbers. So in fact, like I said before, recently we had a basketball game within like a community within the Louisville. Congratulations for those who won, and thank you for those who sponsored for our jersey. Then I heard there's more coming within this end of December and January. So we are still growing, and that's really something to look forward to, because there's a lot of people to be with, like with or like own kind, like just like camaraderie or something like that. I think I remember I told you before in Floyd County, kept on trying to play basketball, trying to find playmates, but I was playing most likely by myself. So that's how lonely it was for me back home there. But here in Louisville, we have a schedule every Wednesday and every Saturday to play basketball, and there's always like 40 to 50 people playing. So there's a lot of people playing, there's a lot of playmates. So it's really a big thing for me, because like for me, I like being like socializing with different people, so it's really a plus for me. And it's one good way for me to lose weight. That's why when back home in like rural Kentucky for the last 3 years, I really gained weight. So fortunately now, because of this league and this basketball, I've been losing weight steadily. But I still have a long way to go. Yes, I am really that obese now. So, but I'm going to that route again. So hopefully I can achieve my like ideal body weight soon. So those are the pros for me. So now let's move on to the cons or the negative stuff. Number one is traffic. Yes, of course. City area means there is traffic. But don't think about the traffic as bad as it was back in the Philippines. No, it's definitely far from that. They have a good way of like a highway system here. So for me in Louisville, it only takes me 25 minutes to go around Louisville wherever I want to go to Louisville. It's a maximum of 25 minutes. Unless there are like accidents in the roads or road blockages. So it does happen, especially in those big highways. So whenever those happen and they really have to like block the road, it does take like 45 minutes to 1 hour for them to clear the road. So those are the things that I can really consider like will cause a traffic. But I don't think it will be as bad like in Manila, where it takes me like 4 to 6 hours in traffic just to get home sometimes, especially on a Friday night. Then since there's like traffic, there's like super high speed cars running, and there's more undisciplined drivers running around. So it's not really a good place for you to learn to drive. So if ever we started here, like when we arrived in the United States, I might not be able to have my wife drive as much as when she was driving back in Floyd County, rural Kentucky, because there's like the roads are kind of free. The road feels like you're just driving on a subdivision with fewer cars around. So that's how it felt like. So it was really a good place for her to start learning to drive there. But here in Louisville, it's kind of hard because it's a busier road and some of the roads are really small. Unless you have to go to like 45 minutes away, then you can go to the highway, then you can get to learn or teach them more on those places. But within the city area, it's kind of harder. Then of course, for the crime rate, since in the city area, there's a lot more crimes happening. Yep, that's kind of normal here in the United States. If it's a city or more city area, meaning there's more crime that happens there. That's how it is. Like here in Louisville, there's like specific areas, mainly the downtown area and I think a little bit on the west side area of Louisville. Those are the places that are really high in crime. In fact, in the downtown area, that's where most of the Filipino lives. I think there's one building, Flats on 5th. I'm part of their group chat, and I'm always hearing them like saying there's a lot of things happening in their area. I think someone mentioned to me before their plate number was stolen, and some of them like people coming into the building, even there are not tenants. So that's how like different the scenario is in those like downtown areas. But for me, I've been living like not in the downtown area, but in a little bit of the south side. It's not that bad. There are places in Louisville that's kind of sketchy. Yeah, just like back in the Philippines. Like you can consider that's that part of Tondo. So, but if you're not moving or working in that area like in Tondo, you go to different places, then you'll be okay. So it's the similar thing here in Louisville. So most of the places here, especially in the east side, they really look nice. Looks like more on the richer side versus on the west side. But even on the east side, there's still places where it's a little bit sketchy. So for those asking about places or apartments to rent, I'm sorry, I don't really know specific apartments until now. I only get to stay in Louisville maybe like 2 to 3 days maximum per week because I'm still working here in a different part of Kentucky. So I'm just going there during my days off. So I would suggest asking different people who are staying or working in a particular hospital. Maybe they have a better idea for you guys. Because of this notion, I was really convinced when I moved here in Louisville, I had to put some security settings on my house. So I bought a Blink security system camera, and it really does help like provide you some sense of security. So I really suggest if you're like moving to a sketchy place or you're moving to a house, get like a Blink or a Ring doorbell. It really does help you get a little bit of peace of mind. Ring is more expensive, so I'm just getting the Blink version. So it's a little bit cheaper, but it essentially does the same work. So if you are interested to buy, I did place some link. So link in my bio. So I get to do that now. So for me, like being a travel nurse, I'm always away from home. So I have some security cameras installed there. So if you wanted to view something or there's like some movements near those cameras, then I get to view what's happening in the place. And if there's like someone trying to ring the doorbell, I can talk through those Ring camera or those Blink camera setup. So it's really nice. Then another cons here in the big city. People here are not as friendly as back home, like in a rural city area. Yes, definitely not. If you're staying in like a rural place, you will definitely distinguish like how great people are, how friendly people are. Like for example, whenever I move in or like walk my dog during around the area, a lot of people like will wave on me. Like those driving the cars will just wave on me, just say hi, they just talk to you and try to get to know you. So that's how the people are back in these rural places, which is kind of weird for me because I've never got to used to that because I've been living in like city area in Manila and living in Singapore, like more city area. So people are more like have their own privacy or like set up and don't want to talk to different people. So that's how I was used to. So kind of weird feeling when I move into the rural place, but it's kind of nice. It really is, and especially that knowing that you are welcome in these particular places. But here in the city area, like I said, they don't really like greet you anymore. You are on your own. You're still okay. I don't really mind that at all. But just there's a big difference between like city area and rural area when it comes to people. So whichever part of the US you'll be moving in, there will always be some pros and cons on your life. Okay, so you just have to make the most of it. Especially if you're tied up with a certain contract or specific number of years, then you just have to work with it and try to live and make the most of it. So for those who are here in the United States, if you have any more inputs about some pros and cons about living in a city area versus a rural area, please just comment down below. Okay, I just like to read those things and maybe help some other nurses who are coming or other Filipino coming here to the United States. Or if you guys have any suggestions of topics that you want me to discuss, just comment down below. Okay, so if you like this video, please click the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Again, I'm Nurse Juan de la Cruz, your OFW nurse. Thank you for watching. God bless. Bye-bye. Stay safe.